You want, fuck it. Hi, YouTube. Hi, Vimeo. Apparently, Muse-Asia. Guys, what is Muse-Asia? First off, correct me. Please let me know. What is Muse-Asia? Sorry. Now, we'll get into a proper introduction, but I don't fucking know what Muse-Asia is. But apparently, a lot of like my fucking videos are on Muse-Asia, and I don't even know what the fuck Muse-Asia is. So, hi, Muse-Asia. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the channel. Even though you guys should follow us on Twitch, it's like Psyculturists. You guys should also follow our friends Aqua and her channel. I'll probably put the link here. Hiobina and their channel. Probably gonna be able to be here as well. And all the other streamers. We have a growing streamer community. If you guys find this on Vimeo or other places, I don't mind if people rip it off and throw it over, because you guys already know it's about mental health and, you know, growing mental health community and all of that. But it's a yeah. But with that being said, please be nice and courteous. Practice some self-care. Kind of like our streaming service, but they are on YouTube. Ah, that makes sense. They're just trolling. Your vids are not on Mute-Asia. No, Varde, quite literally, there's a section on my YouTube analytics where it says that like my videos are being like, you know, you're able to go and watch your videos on Mute-Asia and shit. Or a lot of your You're saying we're gaslighting Ed? Of course not. Yeah, it's just like you guys recommend. Yeah, say hi to Reddit though. Apparently, just like you guys say, hey, it's a wholesome anime, right? All right, let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. Sadly, we can't do a full screen for this because it is a YouTube one. But fuck it, maybe the next one we'll do a full screen. Yeah, we'll do Punyesh. Oh no. Guys, what the fuck are we watching? I had just stepped out for a second. Like, don't tell me we're about to see some Anakin shit, dude. I had a feeling, man. I had a feeling we were about to see some, like, Anakin with the, like, little kids. That feel when you write your first song and create an apocalypse. Oh, oh, oh. Oh. I have to go bonkers. My dude got isekai into another world. Guys, I'm sorry. You guys have made me so fucking like not being able to take a lot of like the serious aspects of a show now because of your guys' fucking comments every single time Truck-kun came in. Truck-kun strikes again. Fuck you guys. I love you. But wow. Okay. First off, let's talk about like, would you actually trust androids or anything going forward if you lived through a fucking AI apocalypse? Also, wouldn't this technically be like a third degree isekai? Wouldn't this technically be like a, I don't know how to put it, like just a whole environment? Ed has become numb. I wonder why. Think about the shows we've watched: Moshiko Tensei, ReZero, Bakemonogatari, and all the other ones. It's normalization at this point. At first, I'd be shocked by some shit like this, but nowadays, and thanks to your guys' dark humor, yeah, it's rubbed off. Thank you for your patronage. That's rough, man. That's rough. Oh, here comes another one.
まずは確認させてください。あなたまで変わってしまってはいませんね、ビビ。ど
うしてオフィリアの一件は生死から変わったんでしょう。
わかりません。
グレイスと佐伯博士のこともエステラとエリザベスのことも相川議員だって
わからないんですよ。
Turns out you were the issue.
15年間眠っていましたが、今日だけは起きていたんです。僕たちがやってきたことの成果を見届けるために。
それって。
そうです。今日は西暦2161年4月11日、生死で人間と AI の最終戦争が勃発した日です。シンギュラリティ計画は失敗に終わりました。
Wow. Also, real quick, I think I was right, guys. I think I've been right so far. How do I think the series is going to end? Probably with Vivy performing her song, and the song probably being like some sort of like anti-virus or some type of shit. Essentially leading towards like the destruction of like everything and everyone, including herself, in some way, shape, or form. Why do I say that? Here's the reason why I say that. This whole period has quite literally been a period of like introspection, right? From the very, very beginning, I'm trying to find what it means for you to be you, for you to put your heart into something, right? And the entire thing, the entire lead up that they've been bringing it up to, is quite literally where all the main characters that we've interacted with, all the story arcs, the AI kills himself, right? So like, or the AI dies, the main AI, the good one, right? So throwing it out like that, right? We've seen what the hotel one passed away, right? The one in the island passes away. The other one passes away. So what's the last AI that's left, right? From the group that we see in the opening, what is the last AI that's left? Quite literally Vivy, right? So who could the bad guy be, right? What could be causing this bad like situation to happen? And this is what I've been trying to wrap my head around, specifically around what motivations, what can motivate someone to go ahead and do something. And there's a couple of there's one particular aspect or one particular person that we have not heard from since the beginning. And it's been on my mind, and it's been fucking terrifying me because my brain has been going back and forth. And therapy, right? If you're to ever go to a therapist and you're talking about something, let's say that you bring someone up twice. It'll stay on our mental notes. It should stay on our mental notes, at least. As we're progressing through, if you never bring them up again, I'll be curious as to why, right? Like I might even ask, so tell me a little bit more about your relationship with this person. How has this been evolving? Tell me a little bit about more about what this means for you, so on and so forth, right? I'm curious as to specifically what happened to that first AI that we encountered. Or is it just like done with? Because Tappy has never liked that, even in ReZero. So far, in like the first, I guess, 2 seasons that we've seen, all the characters that have been introduced have a purpose, right? So I am so curious. I am beyond curious as to what has happened to that first AI. Is it just done and discarded with? Yes, on the first stage for Vivy, if you remember. That's sort of what I've been trying to wrap my head around. I've been waiting for at least a callback but we've never seen a callback for that, you know? So that's just where my mind's at, the way that my mind tries to process things, the way that my mind tries to break it down. Anyway, yeah, let's just continue. Ah, true, actually. Damn. That was a fastball. Bruh. Bruh. Getting isekai'd.
Diva. 許さなくていい。
You don't have to forgive me.
私をどん底から救ってくれたのは他ならない君なんだ。重たすぎる100年だ。無謀すぎる役割だ。君は望まないだろう。どうかもう一度あの日の私に。
Bruh. Now I get it. It connects pretty well.
人類を。その歌を歌っていいのは。
Hey, yo.
了解です。
Hey, yo. NCIS level of hacking? Guys, come on.
ディーバ。
話を聞いた時にまさかとは思ったのですが、やっぱりあなただったんですね、おさむさん。
どうして。プログラムはまだ。元の歴史においてあなたは実行に成功したんです。その命と引き換えに。じゃあ。
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so then this is a different timeline.
"いいえ、大丈夫です。おさむさんが無事でよかった。
Bro, when your waifu survives. I know I'm clearly behind. Hiabina, it's called the Vivy ProXyt. It's actually really, really good. I'd highly recommend it. It hurts. It's the best. It hurts beautifully. When your waifu comes through and saves you. I'm sure a majority of chat's like, ooh, you get isekai and you... Actually, Hiabina, are you into isekai like in general? Like not like I don't know, like Re:Zero or Mushoku Tensei or any of those anime? Bruh. What's up, Rex? How you doing? Hope you're doing well.
この戦争を食い止めなくてはいけません。僕はそのためにあなたに作られたんですから。
You doing anything today, Rex?
だがこれ以上彼女に。いえ。
Yo, what'd you think of Re:Zero? Like on the real. Well, I'm so curious. What are your thoughts on Re:Zero? Because that was like the first anime I got into, like analyzing and whatnot. So I always like just question people on this. Good, bad, I don't mind it. Don't trust me, it's fine. But I'm just curious as to like your general thoughts on it.
お願いします、おさむさん。私はそのために戦争を食い止めてお客様を守り、歌でみんなを幸せにするために稼働してきたんです。
Just some homework, then gonna stream later, hopefully. A+, Rex. Hell yeah.
まずは協力者の元に向かう。何か掴んでいるかもしれない。
協力者。
賭博だ。
Right? It's a good show. An AI cop just using his gun. What is this, America? Oh, sorry guys. I'm sorry. But yes, you should. Yeah, you should definitely continue on. ReZero gets great. Pew pew. ReZero is definitely one of my favorite shows so far that we've seen. Yeah, very. It contains so many things that like you can go into and even discuss. So yeah, I know, Rex. I know I had to go there, but I'll throw this out there for you. What was your favorite ReZero character for those of you guys that watched ReZero, and why? Blade Dragon, if you can make a poll, throw in there Ram, Rem, Emilia, anyone really. Yeah, you should. You know who's in there. I'm like, yeah, you're a part of like the main like translation group, so I'm pretty. Oof. I hate to throw this out there. I hate to throw this out there, you know. We're only seeing I guess it's due to where we're at in the culture and the times, you know. Uh I guess when it comes to the artificial intelligence, we ain't even seeing any like colored we haven't seen have you seen any colored AI? Realistically throwing this out there, I'm curious, man, because all we see is a bunch of white AIs with guns pewing all over the place. Oof, oof, a good thing. Yeah, the story between Ram and Rem is oof. Also, that comparison. If we're gonna be honest with that, in that story in of itself, which is actually will lead into this as well, the story of comparison between them and like how one might be really talented and everything get a little bit more of the attention, the other one might not. It can lead to so much turmoils with like grief spots. Anime is lacking in representation. Wait, what? See, Vardic, that makes it even worse. Now that you put it this way, it makes it even worse to only have white people in the service industry, white AIs for that particular reason. You know, like, hey, yo, hey, yo. Uh, but no, like, just in general, like, because now that I'm falling into context, I'm like, wait a minute. You've only seen a bunch of like white AI throughout the entire thing, but if you take it into a cultural consideration, considering that there is a lot of homogeneity, whatever, over there, I'm pretty sure that they only try to model it after themselves, not necessarily others around, right? Um, but no, the story between Rem and Rem is really, really an interesting narrative and interpersonal story. And without going too into details, I wonder how was that like for both for you and your twin, growing up? For you personally, rather well said. Like, did you ever feel any consideration with that? I had to have therapy 3 years ago, and never knew how much it causes trauma. Yeah, between siblings and comparison is huge, especially with family members and other people and stuff, because sometimes your sibling might get more of the attention. Like, let's say that you went ahead and graduated and you've been doing amazing stuff, but your sibling is just like barely going to a job and they celebrate that victory, that win, give it more significance than you actually getting your education or continuing on forward, so on and so forth. Like, it's the different standards that apply to different children and stuff. And yeah, it is rare. It is so rare, Aqua. But like having those situations is huge. Has always been rare, and it still is. Yeah, definitely. But Hiabina, that's sort of what I wanted to ask you. Is like, wow, all of them tied up magically. No one wanted to be controversial. So Hiabina, something that I wanted to ask you regarding that is like, how do you? I guess growing up with your twin and stuff, like how did you find yourself in that balance? Did you ever find yourself uh I guess finding ways to cope with the stress that comes with it, the stress that comes with sometimes being compared, and how did you do that? And Yeah, no, Aqua, you're absolutely right. It's very limited, sort of the representation of color and representation of pretty much anyone outside of their general norm, you know? Ooh. Ooh.
泣き言言う暇があったら手を動かせ。リーダーのところまで行かせるな。
外周班だ。応援を。
おい、どうした。
なんだあいつ。
Bro, she's owning.
Osamu さん、お怪我は？
大丈夫だ。君たちは？心配ご無用。マスターが組んだ対人戦闘プログラムは優秀ですよ。インストールしてからこっち。この捨て子の暴力 AI は無敗を誇ります。まあ、
Well, that ain't necessarily good, Hiabina. You know, one thing is like, and this goes with even like say a partner, if you have a partner or anything like that. If no one is trying to make the effort to try and understand where your boundaries are, where you are emotionally, then at that point in time, they're like, it's quite literally harmful for you, right? Because what is a safe space for you in that regard? Because putting on a mask and grinning and bearing it, right? You're putting on a lot of the stress onto yourself in that regard to try and mold yourself onto the expectations of others instead of others being able to accept you for who you are. Like, honestly, that sounds really rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I would kind of be stressed out, like in many regards, and like I hope that you at least practice some self-care or something, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, because stuff like that, like, you know, even if trying to explain it, hey, well, you know what, why don't we both try to go to therapy, you know, so on and so forth, and if they say no, it's like, okay, well then why don't we go ahead and have a conversation about it, you know, have a conversation about like some things that I feel uncomfortable with, or some things that I kind of see as a wall that maybe you can try and gain some like some insight into. Because yeah, like anyone that shuts down any form of communication, or like they try and like not be there and listen to reply instead of listen to understand, right? Because a lot of people, like, you try and tell them something and they'll instantly try to reply to you instead of trying to listen, take it in, and understand what's happening. But even if it's therapy for yourself, like individualized therapy and like working on yourself, or, you know, even venting to a couple of friends, right? That's always wonderful to do. And this goes for anyone out there, guys. You know, therapy is wonderful. Therapy is great. You know, as a therapist, I'm always going to go ahead and recommend therapy. But if you ever have the opportunity to have close friends, vent to them, get that frustration in and out of the way, or whatever you can, literally just allowing yourself a safe space to be able to open up and sort of take down that mask that sometimes we have to wear. It's okay. It's an art of reading, to be honest, and therapy. Oh, which is true. Very true, and I'm proud of you. Honestly, if you've never heard this, right? You're like, this random man on the internet is telling me this. Like, how dare he? No, genuinely. Like, oh, thanks so much, Montepente. Oh, Monty, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. Monty, oh, you're great. Thank you so much for rating, man. Everyone throw in a bunch of Doritos. I know, we got rated from Monty. Hey, Monty, thanks so much. For those of you guys that are in here that are brand new, before I answer Hiabina. Hi, hello everyone. I'm a therapist that tends to analyze anime, video games, anything that we play. We tend to analyze and talk about mental health and whatnot. Welcome so much, Raiders. I truly appreciate it. Appreciate you guys being here. But yeah, Bina, I know that like this may sound weird, and the stream's going pretty good, man. We're watching some anime, we're watching Vivy and analyzing it at the moment. We're also talking some mental health stuff, you know, sort of situational stuff that may be happening. But here, Bina, let me quickly address this real quick. Like, even throughout all of that, and this is what I'm saying, like, even if it's like you're like, wait a minute, it's just a random man on the internet, random streamer on the internet, which I do have a question about, and please chat, remind me of this. Like, know this, like, for all my streamer buddies out there and individuals out there that may be going through anxiety or a tough time, hey, I'm proud of you guys. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, know that like there's a random idiot out there in the streamer world that that's genuinely always here for all of you guys. I'm proud of you guys for putting yourselves out there, being vulnerable, trying to open up to a community and audience, building yourselves up. And I know that times can be tough, and sometimes putting out yourself out here can be a little uncomfortable for a lot of people. But the fact that you're doing it, you're practicing that self-care, you're reading, you're trying to do certain things, like, yeah, I from the bottom of my heart just know that like no matter what you may be going through, good or bad day, Montepente, Hiabina, Aqua, Rex, Sophia, Sage, Brady, all the other streamers out there that like are part of like the family, hey, if you guys are ever having a rough day, you guys can always reach out, like on or off stream. Like, I'm genuinely proud of you guys for what you're doing and what that means for you guys. Because, yeah, I appreciate you guys. You guys are great. Rosie, yeah, exactly. So keep that up. But I do want to go ahead and ask all my streamer buddies, all the people that stream, and even those Twitch chatters on here, talk to someone. It doesn't matter who, but talk to someone. Exactly. I want to go ahead and ask you guys, as streamers, right? What was the biggest hurdle that you guys have had to overcome so far? Whether that's, chatters leaving inappropriate comments, sort of how you see yourself on screen, because sometimes you have to pull up OBS and see yourself in that regard. What was the biggest obstacle that you guys have had to overcome as streamers? And how did you guys grow from that? So I'm throwing that out there to you guys. Thanks, Monty. Thanks so much for the raid. I appreciate it, man. Here's a giant fucking heart. Thank you so much. And to everyone else, we'll be watching the anime, talking about it as we're going through it. And we'll be stopping and talking. That's just the way that we work. This is a video for YouTube, so yeah, there is a little. It is a little one. Just letting y'all know in case you guys are wondering why we're not doing it full screen. Anyway, let's continue.
ホールドアップホールドアップ敵はありません。
待ってくれ、彼女たちは敵じゃない。博士、今の戦闘を見ただろう。合流しに来たんだ。ディーバ、貴様ディーバだな。今すぐ全ての AI たちを止めろ。
なんです。
Okay,
とぼけるな。あんたの話じゃ、こいつの歌を AI どもが歌っているんだろう。貴様が先導したな。
違います。私にもなぜなのか。待ってください。言葉が通じるなら銃弾より対話だといつも言っているでしょ。
ですが。
Oh no。
松本博士、ご無事で何よりです。例の計画は？
失敗だ。すでに彼女は100年の計画を実行してくれていた。
まさか私たちが今いる歴史は？
そうだ。修正された後だ。だから言ったんですよ。無謀な計画だと。だいたいそんな映画みたいな。
失礼な人たちですね。
So let me quickly answer this. I'm sometimes wondering if I said stuff that could hurt people and having that in my head, but I usually just go and talk to that person to clarify stuff, and it's usually just in my head. Yeah, sometimes getting in your head, especially when you're interacting with chatters and whatnot, it can be quite a bit, man. Especially because you never know how they take or interpret your message and stuff. Even if sometimes you're making a joke and sometimes they might get a little offended by that or so on and so forth. That's a rough one, man. How do you tend, aside from just talking to them, like how long does it, I was about to say Monepante, I kind of want to say drunk Katie now, but aside from that, like, hey, having bad anxiety when streaming, even sometimes when I'm streaming, if I'm sometimes feeling a little overwhelmed, I'll go to a be right back screen as well. Always having a drink. How do you do it now though? Like, what helped you get over sort of like that anxiety from streaming, or do you still have it? Like, how do you usually plan your pauses in between, or what do you usually do? That's interesting. Hiabina, what about yourself? Is there any hurdle that you've had to overcome while streaming? Whether it's growing your audience, 2.5 years sober now. Congratulations! Oh, hell yeah. Hey, if you're sober, hell yeah. I just pushed through and kept doing it. Congrats. Yeah, that takes a lot. That takes an absolute lot. And I'm glad that you enjoy streaming, and I'm glad that like you're going through this. It's absolutely wonderful. Like, it takes a lot. And it takes a lot to go ahead and overcome certain things like that, especially when you become reliant on it. So congratulations. Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. I'll be honest. Sometimes I do a little bit of drinking streams with Brady and some of the other therapists, but some of my other therapist buddies that come on, we'll get kind of tipsy and talk about mental health and a lot of other stuff. But it's like, especially if you're using it to go ahead and cope through the situation of putting yourself out in public, like, yeah, I can definitely see like the importance of being able to maintain yourself in that regard. So congratulations. I'm glad. I'm proud of you. That's amazing. Congrats.
変わらずそもそもこの100年の間にあなた方には散々手間をかけさせられたんですよ。ごめんなさい、お疲れ様の一言ぐらいあって叱るべきでしょうに。今だって助けたばかりでしょう。
Also, that's what I was going to ask you. If we were living in a society of AIs and the AIs decided to go wild and start attacking humans, how long would it take for you guys to start regaining trust, or would you guys regain that trust in that regard at all? Personally, I've had a lot of anxiety as first. I was on medication for 14 years, but the more I did it, the better it went. The easier. So I've been off my meds for 1 to 2 months, and I feel amazing. Congratulations, Monty. That's great. That's wonderful. Especially if you're being able to go ahead and lean off the medication, be able to do for yourself in that regard. A plus, man. That's A plus. Hell yeah, man. Congrats. I'm dropping some Dorito chips for you too, man. My biggest hurdle probably just putting myself out there. I never had to as a twin. My sister's the outgoing one. Oh, we're first just opening up being you. And how have you found that, Hiabina? Like, you know, when you're opening up and you're bringing in a community and you're trying to like grow and whatnot, how often do you find yourself like, okay, this is a good question for all my streamer friends out there. How often do you guys find yourself putting on your streamer mask versus your own mask? Like, you know, going into concepts of oh, maybe I overshared. You know what? Maybe I have to put on like, you know, go back into like the streamer performance or streamer mask that I was doing, you know. So really, really important. That's why I'm throwing it out there. Good questions, good conversation to go ahead and have. Yeah, and I mean with machines, how long would it take for you guys with any form of artificial intelligence to take a lifelike form? They've started attacking humanity and all humans around you. How long would it take for you to like gain trust back in the AI? Say that like everything got resolved, but how long would it take for you?
命の恩人いえ命の恩
では動けるのは
5割にも届きません。致命的です。
Oh, that's great, Monty.
使用できればある程度の範囲の AI は封じ込められるでしょう。
壊れた回路を交換できれば可能です。
But putting on a mask doesn't necessarily mean like putting on a mask, changing your persona, but it can quite literally mean like, for example, being louder than what you usually are, right? Or like toning down sort of like the I'm attempting myself off. The thing the stream does is probably the anxiety I get because the internet is forever. The only thing I may mask is how much. So, and that's sort of what I was going to say. Like, you know, maskings, for example, the volume, because sometimes you have to talk at a specific volume for your mic to pick it up, or if you're having anxiety, trying to mask that, or if you're, you know, if you, because I make a lot of stupid jokes, you know, and I try to not talk as like my professional therapist voice or anything like that, because number one thing, I love all of you guys on here, right? But I'm not going to be your guys' therapist. let me be straight up. Let me be real with all of you guys. I love every single one of you guys. I'll be your friend. You know, I'll be open to talk with every single one of you guys in that regard. Hey, what's up? Thanks so much for rating Emzron. I appreciate it. But like, if you're to ask me, hey, are you going to be my therapist? Like, you know, or why don't you talk in a professional voice or so on and so forth? It's like, well, I'm not in a therapist mood, you know? So yeah, welcome in, Raiders. Appreciate you so much. Thanks, Emzron. But yeah, that's the overall the regard that I'm talking about. Like, if it comes to that, like, you know, also, how do you guys, for example, Hiabina, how do you deal with your anxiety off stream? Or have you guys ever had a really bad anxiety attack on stream in that regard? It's a conflict. Well, it's not. It's aside from being a conflict of interest at the same time. That's sort of where the parasociality can come in. You know, like for example, a lot of the offline streamer friends that we do have. Yeah, exactly, Montepenta. Like, I love analyzing shit. That's aside from being a therapist. But, like, say, being in there and, like, using my therapist voice and, you know, all of that. No, I'm good, man. I'm like, fuck that shit. Especially when you're, and yes, I will curse. I am a cursor. I am so on and so forth. I got pretty damn close to being one today. I got stopped before I could. Oh, thank goodness. But damn. All right, let's finish this one up, guys.
この状況では
わかりました。今は怪我人の治療を最優先に。気をしっかり持ってください。
了解です。
改めてよく生き残ってくださいました、松本博士。そちらはディーバさんと
松本と申します。
松本
言いたいこと
TLC.
は分かります。分かりづらいでしょう。ですが不思議なもので100年も受賞しているとそれなりに愛着も湧くものでして、どうか僕は呼び捨てでマスターのことは博士と。
おい勝手に。ああいやいい好きにしてくれ。
私は柿谷結衣、トワークの中のまあはぐれ者たちのリーダーです。柿谷、もしかして柿谷優吾さんの祖父を知っているんですか？いえ、そうですね。
Damn, dude.
この100年計画のために稼働していたのなら祖父とも。
彼女はトワークの中でも珍しい穏健派でね。私同様 AI と人間の共存を願っている人物だ。
なんですその不合理な立場は。共存を訴えたいならわざわざ反 AI 団体のトワークに所属なんてしなくてもいいでしょうに。
所属しているからこそ共存のためにできることがあるんです。こちらはエリザベス、私の介添えを務めてくれています。
Also, let me pause that right there. Guys, if you guys are wondering about the channel loot boxes and stuff, the reason why they've gone up in price real quick, channel points wise, aside from inflation, no, I'm kidding. The main reason being is because there's some special rewards in there, like actually being able to bring in the anarchy wheel at any time, and a lot of other things. Yeah, that's the reason why that, like, you know, it's slowly going up. It's also because the self-care wheel and other wheels are going to be implemented. So making sure you guys are aware of that as we go forward. Because yeah, it's a little scary.
やっぱ私のことも知ってるのか？
どういうことですか？彼女はいわば複製体です。サンライズの事件はご存知なんですね。あの一件でベスのオリジナルは消失したそうなのですが、トワークのサーバーにサンライズ以前の彼
I
女
mean,
の
are you
データが
live,
残っていたんで
Emzeron?
す。私たち穏健
That's the real question,
常に
brother.
人手不足ですから。ボディにサルベージして以来協力してもらっています。
サンライズの作戦の記録は残ってなくてね。ずっとどうして失敗したか気になってたんだが。お前が邪魔してくれたってわけか。私はちゃんとマスターの役に立てたんだろうな。マスターは私のことをなんて言ってた？
Bruh.
どうなんだ？
貴様もエリザベスと同じか。命令に従わない出来損ないが。
あなたはライフキーパーとして柿谷さんに仕えることを使命としていた。今は何のために？
Makes sense.
ベスは今でも祖父に仕えていますよ。
おい！
いいじゃないですか。
Dude, grandfather? Hey,
こ
yo.
の日が来た。俺の望んでいた答えが得られようと得られなかろうと、おそらくはこれが最後になるだろう。だからエリザベス、こんなことを言えた義理じゃないのは分かっている。だがもしもお前がもう一度ボディを手に入れることがあったら、周りの連中を守ってやってくれ。俺がお前たち AI に命令にだけ従えと言い続けてきたのは、いや、それこそ言えた。
But yeah, sure, Emzeron.
40年前、オフィーリアと出会ったあの日。このデータを見つけたことが全てのきっかけでした。記録に残る祖父は AI の撲滅にその命を懸けていた。ですが、この映像からはとてもそうは思えなくて。祖父が変われたのなら、私
See, isn't that kind of fucking hypocritical though? Like, sorry, I don't mean to fucking go on some people like that, but it's quite literally some of the most grandiose narcissistic fucking bullshit out there, right? Like, his entire life he's been trying to shut down AIs, right? So what the fuck does he do? He turns himself into an AI. Like, bro. Bro. We've both been introverts, but she took the stand and I just stood there as my stage fright back then was crippling. Aww. Oh, well, my thing is, guys, just know that this is a safe space. Anything you guys say in here, don't worry, we'll never judge it. It's an open community. But yeah, TLC, that is a very Anakin moment, if I do say so myself. Quite literally like, hey, yo, I hate AIs. So what am I going to do? Turn into an AI to stop AIs. That's they're not necessarily even reaction formation in that regard. That's quite literally just a cognitive distortion. If we're gonna get into that, right? Because here's the thing, in narrative sense, right? They'll try to point to reaction formation for a lot of stuff when it's not reaction formation in the least. It's more of just a general cognitive distortions. You know, the environment that we live in. And here's why I always point this out, right? In case if you ever go to a therapist, and first off, a therapist should never judge you, straight up. A therapist should also never guide you. They give you the answers in that regard, right? Should never be like, this is the answer, right? But a therapist should be able to point out, hey, do you your environment does have an impact on the way that you see things, right? Like the way that you grew up, your childhood, how do you put it? Your caregivers, so on and so forth. Guess what? That's sort of how you started to see the world when you were a kid. And it takes a fucking long while to break that shit, right? Oftentimes, you know what? Like, which is why sometimes when we start breaking the rules as kids, we're like, oh no, like, was it good? Was it bad? How does that work out? How do things work out? And especially when you start realizing, hey, guess what? My parents, they're not perfect human beings. They all have issues. So being surrounded in your environment, if your environment is a constant like state of like, hey, you know what? Fight or flight or freeze, right? And at the end of the day, you have to choose between one of those in a constant state. How do you think you're going to grow up as an adult, right? Let's say that for some reason, let's take the environment away from you. You grew up in that environment till you were 18. You moved into an environment, say, where it's the safest thing, but you've been programmed literally for 18 years. Exactly. It's like reparenting yourself. You've been programmed for like 18 plus years where it's quite literally a state of survival. How do you think that's going to be like? Even in a peaceful neighborhood, you might hear something and it might instantly trigger you to react some way, right? Now, you have to relearn behaviors and associated with all the cognitive distortions. Oh, don't talk to people at night. Oh, if there's someone following me or following you, you know what? They might be trying to steal your wallet. So do this instead. You might be doing things that to other people in that safe neighborhood is odd, but to you and the environment that you came from, completely normal. Right? So that's where you start to form like the differences in between, like, because there's cognitive distortions just like the Jedi and Sith. Both of them have cognitive distortions, either believing all good or all bad instead of seeing the gray in between, right? And relearning your behaviors, yeah. And that is so true. It is one of the biggest issues out there. And also, guys, I hate to throw it out there, but all your friends, your partners, whatnot, the way that you communicate with them, the way that you're enabling communication with your siblings, partners, whatever, if you're not able to go ahead and identify your communication errors, what it means to be able to go ahead and like have good boundaries, so on and so forth, you're not practicing that on the daily, what do you think ends up happening when a manipulator, because there's often people there's out there who thrive off of manipulating other people, or fuck boys, fuck girls, fuck people, like just general individuals who are in it for sex. How do you think that they'll be able to go ahead and get in there or classic narcissistic manipulators? How do they go in there and thrive off of certain environments? They pick on some of the insecurities, right? They pick on the insecurities that make itself vulnerable. If you're too vulnerable and you don't have your boundaries up due to, say, never establishing boundaries in communication with your friends, family, loved ones, or with others, guess what they're going to do? They're going to try and push that boundary to the extent as to where it is, play hot and cold, which is like they love you for a couple minutes, like love bombing, get extremely cold with you, so on and so forth. In situations like the show that we have right now, this is sort of where I'm getting at, is like there's a clear cognitive issue where it's thinking that either all AIs were wrong, that there was no good AIs, that only the future you, or future renditions of you, family of you, whatever, can handle the situation. It's sort of like putting on a shit ton of expectations. Also, real quick, let me fucking throw this out there. I'm sorry, but your parents' dreams are your parents' dreams, not your dreams. And for those of you guys that need to hear it, live your own life. Your parents, if they wanted to go ahead and achieve their dreams, they should achieve their dreams. That's not your dreams. Your dreams and expectations should be your own. And your parents should never push their expectations as to what it means for you to actually be successful or good, when that is a definition that you should give yourself as to what that means for you. Anyway, enough rant.
ベスをサルベージしたのもその時です。祖父の頼みであれば きっと聞いてくれると思って。
あーっと思い出話はその辺にして状況整理しませんか。外では AI たちが絶賛大暴れ中なんですよ。脳みそと演算回路使いましょう。もったいないですよ。
あ、そうですね。すみません。
お前ムカつくな。
あなたも相変わらず目つきが悪いですね。そういえば僕はあなたに一度ぶん投げられたんですよ。痛かったです。
それ思い出話だよな。
ベース、
思いてえ話です。
もう。各主要都市の様子です。混乱に陥ってない地域はありません。犠牲者はわずか数分で万を超え、その後も増え続けて。
10,000 in a matter of minutes. Fuck.
ひどい。
That's some Resident Evil level
兵
shit.
士と同じペースで犠牲者は推移していますね。
本当か。
はい。不甲斐ないですよ。こうならないように立ち回ってきたというのに。マスター。生死においてマスターは AI 研究者になった頃から人間と AI の将来的な衝突を危惧されていました。歴史上のどの出来事が人間と AI の戦争の火種になったのか、どうすればそれを回避できたのか。
Well,
マ
damn.
スターのその研究が後のシンギュラリティ計画の骨子になったんです。進展があったのは AI の意識に関する研究を進めていた時です。意識をデータ化してそれを過去に飛ばせる可能性があると気づいたマスターは、それを実現するためにひたすら身を割いて、それは今のこの歴史においても。
そうだ。研究者になった頃から将来の危険は感じていた。
そうですか。申し訳ありません。生死と変わらずその不安をマスターに抱かせてしまったのなら、僕たちがやってきたことは
Oh.
無駄ではないさ。少なくとも今お前はここで力を貸してくれているんだ。各地のトワークの様子は。世界中に支部があるんだろ。
呼びかけてはいるのですが、
Yeah,
国
same.
内の4つの支部のうち
Same.
通信回線が
暴走の原因に心当たりはないのか。
うち2つは遠距離
連中
I've seen so many parents literally push their expectations onto their kids or be like, my kid's a genius, therefore he must succeed or he must do this. And it's like, guys, he's still just a kid. Like, chill. You know, whether a teenager or whatever, it's like, guys, there comes a point in time where if your parents are over expecting of you or pushing in so much of you, like, I get pissed off, I'll be honest. When sometimes I see that, I get pissed. Because it can turn into emotional abuse almost instantly. Like even with Montepente, especially if they keep trying to push, for example, when are you going to have kids? Are you going to have kids? I want to be a grandma. I want to do this and I want to do that. Or you should do this. You should do that for me. You should do this. Like after a while, that can turn into emotional manipulation. And for those of you that are younglings in here, if your parents are ever saying, hey, you know what? I put a roof over your head. I give you food to eat, so on and so forth. Congratulations. They're doing the bare minimum as parents. That is the baseline for being a parent, right? Like, that's why I'm saying, guys, and I've gone over this in like previous anime and shit. Like, a baseline for being a parent is quite literally providing the basic needs and necessities for your kids to be able to succeed. Having a house over their head, you know, or having a roof over their head, being able to sleep good, being able to eat. If we follow Maslow's hierarchy of needs, having the base pyramids right there. But a good parent, by the way, and this is throwing it out there. One, a good parent's not going to hit you. Right? Like actually go out there and like hit you with the intent of like hitting you, punching you in any way, shape, or form. No form of emotional, physical abuse, right? A good parent is going to cheer you on for your successes, right? And even for your failures. Guess what? You failed? Cool. What are we going to do about it? Let's talk about it. Let's see where we can go from here. But there are parents out there who quite literally, when you fail, they'll take it as though they failed and they'll twist that story. They'll go ahead and twist that story into like, oh, this looks bad on me. Oh, this is my own regard. This is like so on and so forth. And that is manipulation at its finest. And a lot of times, hey, I get it. Parents don't come with the manual, but at the same time, they should be held to that expectation that like there's a difference between a baseline as to what it means to be a parent versus what it means to be a good or a great parent. And a loving parent does not mean a good parent either. A parent can love you for all your faults, right? But if they're not willing to call you out for the bad shit that you're doing, or they're not willing to say, hey, you know what, maybe you should work on this at the same time, you know, or even take a back role, because there's some parents that are too obsessive about it once you turn into your adulthood. And instead of being a protective parent, going into a back role and being like, oh yeah, so like, you know, if you ever need advice, come to me. Like, you know, I'm still your parent, but like, I'm not going to be on top of you for everything, right? Yeah. And that's exactly it. But anyway.
お前が作ったっていう歌を歌っ
ライフキーパーとしての使命を全うしていたわ。私と別れた時は笑ってた。
姉さんらしいな。
なので応援は厳しいと見るべきでしょう。
懸念はまだある。ありがたいことではあるんだが、なぜ君たちは暴走していない？見たところ世界中の AI が暴走している。なのになぜ？
私はある意味 AI じゃなくてマスターの命令を守り続けるボットみたいなもんだけどな。
一応テロ組織と認定されていますから、大っぴらにデータ更新する
They
わけに
skipped on the Windows update.
彼女は旧式のデータの
TLC.
待ってください。ということは彼女はサルベージされたから一度もアーカイブに接続してデータを更新していないんですか？
They did just skip on the Windows
非自立
update.
型と同じ。
そうですね。
貸してくれ。ここ、それからここだ。彼らはアーカイブに接続していない旧式の非自立型だ。暴走していない。
Oh shit.
アーカイブのサーバーは
荒屋敷です。我々が指標にしていたあの塔ですよ。
こちらは AI 集合データベースアーカイブです。軌道上の周回衛星の落下まで残り12時間。
I'm fucking done. Did I not fucking predict this? I feel like I did. Dude. I know we were talking about artificial intelligence and sentience and what it means for sentience to be here. And probable choices, but what the fuck, dude?
通常アクセスを検知しました。 AI 集合データベース
This was the real operation all along.
アーカイブ何をしてるの？この放送は何？
型番
Okay, dude. Okay. Okay.
私たちはあなたを待っていました。あなたにお伝えします。私たちの目的は現在の人類を滅ぼすことです。
The only way to protect humanity is by getting rid to the threat to humanity, right? What the fuck, dude? That was literally just going on a rant about artificial intelligence. I can't believe... Oh, what the fuck? Yeah, guys, that's not any form of wizardry. Because I have to throw it out there, because otherwise people think we have wizard powers and shit. No, like, yo, if you start thinking logically, like through an artificial intelligence thing, and like that's the whole purpose is to protect humanity. What is the greatest threat to humanity? Humans. Right? But I didn't think it was gonna go this quickly. I thought I was in the wrong for the longest time, but fuck. Okay, maybe I'm right. Maybe I am right. Wow. Wow. All right. That's I'm kind of happy that we've gotten to this point, and the fact that like some of the predictions and some of the analysis AI gonna save us from ourselves. Hey, you know what? If they're gonna do it, at least do it quickly. Do it while I'm asleep. I'd prefer that. Genuinely. Don't trust anyone, not even yourself, in this regard. But damn, what an amazing show. Like when it comes to talking about that, right? Talking about like sentience, what it means to have rights in that regard. You must admit that Pandora's shit was wizardry, though. I was talking about a Greek story, Masters, and how I could relate to ReZero without going into spoilers and so on. But dude, yeah. So far, so good. I think that so far, like, I think I may be right. I think my predictions might be on point for this. I think this show might end with the song, you know, with whatever her song is, her swan song per se. So, holy crap, ladies and gentlemen, Vivy definitely has been picking up the pace, especially as we get towards the last two episodes.